In this tutorial, we're going to be focusing in on the incomes and the assets section of the MyWealth portal. So this is now where your dashboard is going to start to show some currency around all that information. So let's click on income and we move across here. And what you can see here, it's sort of designed so you can scroll down. It's very tabular, very simple to operate. We've kept it, the user interface very, very basic. And you can see here for Daniel example, we've got a PAYG income. But if I was to change that, there will be things that do change in regards to the dynamics or the conditional logic that you see behind here. If I was to also change, from part-time or contractor or temporary, there will be things that do change in a dynamic sense around that. The other thing we also then get is to put some information in here in terms of your employee or the contract information and so forth. So you can see how that works. Again, we don't need all that information. And again, the platform has been built to help people do mortgage reviews and so forth, and we do need history of employment for those types of things. So we do not need lots of detail in here. The most important thing that we need to be looking at is regards to what sort of level of income you've got coming in. So you can see here, you've got the annual gross income, you've got the overtime and those types of things. Now, because I changed a lot of things there, I'm going to not save this. I'm going to jump back out, go to the dashboard, because I don't want to make any of those changes. I'm going to come back into income, and we can see that here's the original bit of information that I put in here. And then you can see the overall income for Daniel. And if we wanted to add further incomes and any pre-tax deductions, that also helps with money smarts and so forth in terms of cash flow. If I wanted to add another income section, I just simply click the add income button. And again, depending on what type of income that I'm looking at, for other income, you can see those types of things. So that's what we call government or other types of income. Remember, if I wanted to add, and I'll just delete that, if I wanted to add another employment income, I'm actually up here, and you can see that that's giving me this section here in terms of employment. So the more information, if I've got another PAYG job, or I've got a business hack that I'm doing, or a money hack that I'm doing, and I'm self-employed, all that information will start to show up. Sole trader or company information, I need history of income, all of those things will change as you potentially put that information in. So very user-friendly, very dynamic in its conditional logic in terms of how that works. So for Daniel, he's got the single job, and the same thing with Rebecca. We see here she's also PAYG. So from that point of view, really easy to understand what she's doing, and we can see her income being loaded in here. Now, the moment we load that income in, we can also see that that income will start to appear on the dashboard in terms of that overall household income, and we can see also the tax payable that's coming through on the dashboard as well. So that's how you get an introductory look at the income page. The next one I'm looking at in this tutorial, I also promised you, was the properties and also other assets. Now you can see there's another new navigation where I can click between other assets and property at the top here to keep the navigation simple and easy to use. So in this particular case, we've got a principal place of residence. And again, you can see here what we would class as investment versus owner-occupier, what might be personal use versus primary use, and those types of things as well. It's jointly owned in both Daniel and Rebecca's name. It's a property in Nowhere suburb in Victoria, and the purchase date and the purchase price and the estimated value. Now, this is a cool little feature. What we've done here is once you put in the actual purchase date and the purchase amount and what you think the value of the property is worth, you can also see exactly the annual compounding interest return. So you can have a play around with that. So hypothetically, if they had got a great buy here and bought that for $340,000, we can then see that it would have been an 8.96% return per annum. They paid about 387, I think 500 from memory. So we can see 386, I think it was. So you can see just under 7% compounding return over that period. So have a play around with that in terms of what you did buy your property for, and put the current value in, and see just sort of what type of return you've been able to achieve on your principal home. Again, the projected future capital growth is for our business purposes, nothing to see here for yourself. Then a little breakdown in terms of the type of condition the property again. not required for you, but the more information you put in here, potentially in the future, we'll be able to provide some insights around that. So really simple. If I wanted to add another property, you can see here what's the purpose of the property. If it's for personal use, such as a holiday home, or if it's for investment property, then you'll start to see a lot more different information that we ask for around that investment property, such as income, remembering, and maintenance costs and so forth, so we can start to get a sense of those costs associated with that property. So that is a fairly quick introduction to property assets. If we move across, I'm not going to save that information. You can see we've now looked at the different types of bank accounts that we may have. Now, under Money Smarts, remember, we love offset accounts as the primary account, and even potentially as a secondary account, as long as it's a free account. In this particular case, Daniel and Rebecca, the one that we're looking at, they haven't set up their new finances yet. So, but you can see here they could have high interest or also offset or other. So we're going to keep that as savings for now, how much money they had in there, and if this is the primary bank account. Now, you can also see when we do offset that we'll also ask for the last 4 digits of that number, because we can then match that to the loan account into the future if we're doing some simulation and so forth for you in the future. So if it's not an offset, don't put that in there, but if it is, and you can see obviously the interest that you're going to be earning now. Very hard to get 3% interest at the moment, but you can definitely see how that plays out. Then the other assets we've got is a couple of vehicles, obviously an old Holden, not buying Holdens much anymore these days. Any life insurances, those types of things. I've got to have fun for myself, don't I? Life insurances, other investments, so you can start to see what type of investments, who owns them, what type of investment is it, shares, bonds, managed funds, pensions, those types of things. So that way, obviously with these assets, we're starting to get an idea of what your nest egg is and what your total assets are. So also that type of information will start to appear on your dashboard in terms of your total assets, values and the like. So there it is. We've just had a quick look at properties and also now other assets. You can continue to have a play around with that. You've got superannuation and any other assets that you may want to add. You might have caravans, boats, tools, equipment, whatever that looks like. And it's simple to add by hitting the add button, or simple to delete. And just also make sure you're always saving when you're adding new information before you leave the page. We do a little prompt. If there has been some editing done, it'll also say, do you want to save or not save, as a final check, so you don't lose that input that you've done. But that's it, incomes and assets for this tutorial. The next tutorial we're going to be doing, or another tutorial that's available for you, is going to be on expenses and also borrowings. Until then, bye for now.